Hey, welcome back. So I have a brand new video for you today. So I just picked up this iPhone 13 mini and I actually downgraded from the iPhone 14, and I thought to myself, why not try to do some street photography with it? I've never done street photography with a phone before. I only use my mirrorless full frame camera. And it's not going to be a technical review where I will review the photo quality. It's going to be much more centered around the experience and also experience using the phone for street photography. I timestamped the video for pros and cons and also final thoughts, so you can just skip ahead. So this is a mid-range camera, and I also know going in it will never be able to replace my full frame camera, but it has two lenses and it doesn't have Pro RAW, so there are some limitations to begin with. Let's see what it can do, and let's get into it. All right, let's start with the pros. I have a couple of them. I did street photography with this phone for 2 days and a couple hours a day. And let's start with the most obvious thing, form factor. Form factor of this phone is just amazing. It's tiny, it's very small, it's very portable. And I have this case on which has these grips on it, so it feels really nice in the hands also. It's lightweight. I can put it in my pocket, and sometimes I really forget that I have the phone in my pocket or in my jacket, compared to the iPhone 14 that was a bit more bulky, or even comparing it to a full frame mirrorless camera, you know, where you have the strap on and you have the big lens on. So the weight of this compared to the other one is definitely a pro. All right, pro number two. So the feel and handling of the phone, surprisingly enough, I felt like it was super easy just to turn on the camera app and just start snapping photos. It's very easy compared to a mirrorless full frame camera. And the only thing you need to worry about is the exposure, and you're all set. So the feel and handling of this phone is really nice compared to also when you have the lightweight of it. And it's just take no time to take a photo. And sometimes in street photography, it's all about snapping a photo at the right time, because otherwise the shot might be gone. So compared to my mirrorless, surprisingly well feel and handling of the phone here. All right, so type of photo. So right away I noticed that the type of photos that I took with this phone was very different from what I'm used to with my mirrorless. And maybe it's because it's so accessible and it's so easy just to pull out your camera because you already have it on you and take a photo. Compared to a mirrorless or a bigger camera that you have to compose it a little bit more, and maybe you have to adjust your settings, and the shot might be gone at that time. So I felt it was the type of photos that I could get with this was very different than my usual style, which is also good if you're also still evolving and learning. And yeah, so that's definitely a pro in my book. All right, so another pro is being discreet, and this camera and phone allows you to be super discreet, which is a really good thing, especially when you're doing street photography and you're really maybe starting out and you're a little bit shy, or you don't want to go and be up close to people, which is fine. And also you don't stand out that much. I did a little bit of street photography down in the metro that I wanted to do for a long time, and every time I tried it with my mirrorless, it really didn't work out because people just notice you, especially if you're standing with a bulky camera. So this one offers you some discretion that is other cameras might not do, and I really like that as well. All right, so another pro is the gear and lenses. So normally when I'm out on photo walks, I do plan it. I think about what kind of a lens that I would use, 85, 55, 35. And with this, I found myself not thinking about it at all. What I used was I toggled between the camera lenses that it has. So I sometimes use the wide angle, but I mostly use the normal one. And also for the type of photography that I ended up doing with this, it was more than enough. And I didn't think about bringing anything else like I do. And yeah, that's a really good thing as well. All right, so let's dig into the cons. So I have a couple of them as well. So the first one is the form factor. I talked about it, how good it was that the camera is lightweight and portable. And again, I would say this is also a con because I actually was a little bit afraid of dropping it, and I have a case on it, but sometimes you can be really unlucky and drop it in a certain way. So, and I also have a little bit of a nervous hands, and also comparing to my mirrorless, I actually like the bulky feeling, you know, that you have something to grab onto. But it didn't necessarily do anything for the type of photography I was doing, but just a thing to consider because it's such a small device. All right, so another con in terms of feel and handling is that I noticed right away that I had to be much closer to my subjects, and also I had to think a little bit more about composition, and also sometimes I had to recompose my photos. And this is probably because it's missing a telephoto lens, and I'm usually in my street photography style, I'm used to having a tighter focal length. As I mentioned, the 85 or 55. It's not a huge deal. I can crop it in post. It's just something to be aware of. So another con for the feel and handling is that I actually missed my camera, because it has the proper grip, and I missed messing around with my settings. So there was a little bit of that was missing, the whole experience around getting out there with your camera and really tap into what settings and dial in the settings and grabbing your camera. I felt like that was a little bit flat experience in terms of having a phone because it's so small and you can basically just take a photo like it's nothing. So I missed that little special moment when you stand around and you try to determine which settings will be the best for this composition. So a little bit of a con, but again, I'm biased because I only use my mirrorless camera for so long. All right, so final thoughts on the iPhone 13 for street photography. It's definitely a different kind of experience using the iPhone 13 compared to my normal camera. And also the feel and handling of all of it is different than my normal camera. And the type of photos that I made were also different than my usual style, which is a welcome change because I like to learn and grow and evolve as a street photographer. I would say the iPhone is particularly good if you're starting out or a beginner photographer. This is absolutely, the pros outweighs the cons because it's accessible. You already have it on you. You don't need to worry about settings or gear. It's very easy to use. You get great photos out of it. And for myself, because I have this pro setup, I would definitely use the iPhone 13 as a companion camera and have it be part of my street photography kit. So definitely I will be doing more street photography with my iPhone going forward.